In the year 1600, the world was entering a new and uncertain age. Oceans that were once viewed as barriers had become highways linking continents, and the balance of global power was shifting rapidly. Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas were now connected through expanding networks of trade, exploration, and empire. What happened in this global arena would shape the conditions that eventually led to the founding of the English colonies in North America. At the center of global influence stood the Spanish Empire. By 1600, Spain controlled vast territories stretching from the Caribbean and Central America to Peru and the Philippines. Silver from mines in Mexico and South America poured into Spanish ports, financing armies and fueling the empire's global ambitions. The flow of wealth was so large that it reshaped the world economy, yet it also created inflation and financial instability within Spain itself. Spanish ships traveled across the Atlantic and the Pacific, positioning Spain as the first truly global empire, but its dominance was already beginning to face challenges. Across the Atlantic, Portugal maintained its own maritime empire, though smaller than Spain's. Portuguese sailors had established trading posts along the coasts of Africa, India, and Southeast Asia. Their carefully guarded sea routes connected Europe with Asian spices, textiles, and exotic goods, giving Portugal a vital role in global commerce at the start of the 17th century. By 1600, they still held a crucial share of the spice and slave trades, but their power had begun to weaken after their crown was joined with Spain under the Iberian Union. This union created opportunities for competing European nations who wanted to break into the highly profitable trade networks of the East. France, too, had turned toward overseas expansion. Although distracted by decades of internal religious conflict, France had begun shaping its colonial presence in North America. French fishermen and fur traders ventured along the coasts of Newfoundland and the Gulf of St. Lawrence, setting up seasonal camps as part of their expanding activity. France had not yet built a strong colonial empire, but the foundations were being quietly laid through these early ventures and growing connections. Meanwhile, England was preparing to enter the global stage more assertively, as its leaders looked beyond the island for new opportunities and influence. For decades, English explorers had probed the Atlantic coast of North America, searching for prospects of settlement, trade, and wealth. The defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588 had boosted English confidence and weakened Spain's military dominance. By 1600, England's leaders and its merchants believed their moment had arrived, convinced that the kingdom was ready to take a more assertive place on the global stage. Joint stock companies, which let investors pool resources and share risks, were rising in popularity and would soon finance England's first successful colonies. But beyond the European empires, millions of people lived in civilizations with their own histories, economies, and political systems. In the Americas, indigenous nations from the Iroquois in the northeast to the Pueblo communities of the southwest maintained complex societies long before Europeans arrived. These societies would play a major role as Europeans settled the continent, forming alliances, resisting intrusion, and shaping the development of early America. Across the Pacific, powerful Asian empires dominated their regions. The Ming dynasty still ruled China, controlling one of the world's largest populations and most sophisticated economies. Japan, under the Tokugawa shogunate, was moving toward political unification and a period of relative stability. In India, the Mughal Empire continued to expand, supporting vibrant trade networks and cultural achievements. These Asian powers were not secondary players. They were key drivers of global commerce, producing goods that Europeans desperately sought. Africa, too, was central to the world of 1600, with West African kingdoms such as Benin, Dahomey, and the remnants of Songhai participating in extensive trade networks. These networks linked the interior regions to bustling coastal markets, where goods, power, and influence moved continuously across the continent. The trans-Saharan and emerging Atlantic trades brought wealth, goods, and cultural exchange to the regions connected by these vast networks. At the same time, they laid the early foundations for the transatlantic slave trade that would profoundly shape the future of the Americas. This is the world into which the English colonies would soon be born. Understanding the global landscape of 1600 helps us see that the story of America did not begin in isolation.